Hi guys, and welcome back to Seomra Dorcha. So, looking through my channel, the most popular video that I have so far is the 5 most disturbing forest encounters. So today I thought I'd do something slightly similar. So we're going to have a look at a video called 23 People Who Realized They Weren't Alone in Their Cabin. Scary compilation B376. So I'm assuming there's 375 other versions of this video out there. It is by a channel called Mystery Man. I have never seen their channel before, so I'm hoping it's a good one. So yeah, let's dive in and see what it's like.
Exploring an abandoned cabin when she decided to take a photo inside the attic. At the time, nothing seemed unusual, but later, when she looked back at the image, she noticed something. Near a bench, a faint
Oh,
figure,
ghost in the
shaped
attic.
almost like a person sitting down. It wasn't something she had seen while taking the photo. So was this just a trick of the eye,
That's
or something
interesting.
more mysterious tied to the
That is
history
interesting.
of that abandoned cabin?
Um, how would you guys feel if you went into an abandoned cabin and later saw that you had taken pictures of someone who used to live there? Be pretty creepy, wouldn't
A Reddit user known as Beefstick Sub was spending the night in a remote mountain cabin. After finishing a Dungeons and Dragons session late at night, he noticed something unusual. Faint music coming from somewhere in the distance, the same melody looping over and over again. He mentioned there was a few houses in the area, but none close enough for the music to sound this loud or clear. Curious but uneasy, he stepped outside, but there was no clear source, no lights, no sign of anyone nearby,
it?
just the music, echoing through the woods.
Could
The
be anything.
experience left him unsettled, wondering who, or what,
Could be
was out there
some
in the
person in a
darkness.
car playing music in the distance.
A Reddit user known as HealthBright555 shared a story after their son installed a motion detecting camera in his bedroom. At first, it was just for fun, but one night around 1 a.m., the camera captured something unexpected, a strange figure standing inside the room. The family
Okay,
was immediately concerned, but the situation took a turn when the uploader shared an update. After checking the system,
that's
they
weird.
realized the timestamp might have been incorrect. Once they updated the software, the time shifted closer to 8 p.m., which made a much simpler explanation possible. It could have been his sister in the room. Still, the way the figure
Here, I have a few sisters, and if they look like that, they wouldn't be getting back in my house.
appeared on camera left some uncertainty behind. So let's hope it really was just a
That's
simple
mad.
mix up with the timestamp.
That's a freaky looking sister.
TikToker Annie Michaela was home alone around 2 a.m. when this happened. Someone was moving around the exterior of the home, approaching different entry points. Doors were knocked on repeatedly, and the doorbell
Now,
rang
this is
multiple times.
freakier
The behavior continued without any clear
than a
purpose,
ghost,
and no
because
explanation was given for
we have
why someone would
absolutely
be at the property at that
no
hour,
idea who it
especially
is or
since
what
the
it
area
is.
is quite remote. Inside, the TikToker remained on high alert, unsure whether it was someone lost and disoriented or a real intruder. How the situation unfolded is unknown. A man began experiencing strange disturbances in his cabin late at night. It started with a low vibrating sound, strong enough to wake him from sleep. Confused, he checked the house, but everything seemed normal. As he was heading back to bed, something outside caught his attention: the shed door. It was slightly open, then slowly closed, as if something had just
Ooh,
moved inside. Thinking it could be an intruder, he went outside immediately, but when he checked, there was nothing there. Wanting answers, he set up a camera facing the shed. Later, reviewing the footage, he saw the door opening and closing on its own. No one entering, no one leaving.
for the
And the
win.
vibrations continued, returning at random times with no clear source. Then, one night, when the sound started again, he rushed outside, and this time he saw something. A tall, dark figure standing beside the shed. Terrified, the man
Oh,
backed
okay.
away and returned inside. But who, or what,
Bigfoot.
was moving?
I'm only after noticing the little guy down in the bottom corner. is my sexy movement. I didn't realize that it was talking all the way through.
Around his property at night. A group of friends went on holiday to a cabin in the woods. During dinner, one of them set up a camera on a timer to take a group photo. When the first attempt didn't flash properly, he took a second one. At the time, nothing seemed unusual. But later, when they looked at the photos, something stood out.
Who's the imposter?
In the first image, right in the center of the table, there appeared to be a figure. It looked like a person, positioned directly between the group, but it didn't match anyone who was there. Then, in the second photo,
wow,
it was...
Look at that. Like, even in the top photo, it looks as if they're more at the table than it should be. That's freaky. Imagine taking 2 photographs and someone randomly jumping in that was never there. That would be creepy.
Gone. So what appeared in that first image? Redditor Runs with Scissors shared a video taken at his brother-in-law's house. In the footage, the front porch gate suddenly opens by itself. The user explains the gate is latched, so you have to unlock the latch in order to open it. It couldn't just be wind or a small animal. Then the swing begins moving on its own, swaying back and forth despite the still surroundings. There's no obvious explanation, but it almost looked like something just wanted to sit there and swing for a while. But it makes you wonder. A ghost wouldn't need to open a gate to enter, right? On a quiet morning inside a home in Aspen, West End, TikTok user Aspen Meg noticed movement right in front of his main door and started recording. Sitting just outside was a mountain lion. After a few seconds, it simply observed the area.
That's cool.
Then it rose from its seated position and slowly turned away from the door. The clip gained attention because sightings like this near residential areas are rare, especially at such close range. What would you do if you encountered such a situation?
I would take a video as well. That is cool. Like a big wild cat coming and sitting at your doorstep. And obviously, you don't go outside. But to have that on video, even just to be cautious in walking around your property, that I love big cats. I mean, like tiger is my favorite animal, but this, yeah, kind of cool, man. I like that.
A photo shared on Facebook by user Paisin Haja was taken during a trip near Gladwin and Seckard Lake. 2 women posed together for a photo, but in the space between them, something stood out. A third face appeared in the gap between their heads and shoulders. According to the post, the woman in the image didn't realize it until it was pointed out later.
Like,
they were
how is it possible to take a photograph of 2 people and then have a third person in? And like, if you even look down where your woman's arm is, you can look behind and see like white. Doesn't look like it's belonging to the woman in the back. But yet, no, there she is in the photograph. And I'm telling you, camera can capture some
sure no one was behind
things.
them, and they didn't recognize this person. But I think we can all agree this isn't just a case of pareidolia. It is clearly a face. But whose? A man named Isaac moved into his family's old home, a secluded property with a long and unsettling history.
I think I've seen these
On the
videos
surface,
before.
it looked ordinary, but one place always felt wrong to him: the shed in the backyard. Long before Isaac lived there, the original owner, a war veteran, was said to suffer severe PTSD. He would avoid the shed entirely, claiming something was inside it, moving, watching, waiting.
There's definitely something
Years
inside that
later,
shed.
Isaac began experiencing the same unease. From his window, he sometimes saw movement inside the shed. At night, he heard banging coming from within. While recording a video to answer viewers' questions about the house, something happened.
So, I'll answer the first question. What happened to the video? Y'all hear that, right? Like that.
The rooster trying to get out. Damn, son.
You guys see that?
Mm-hmm.
The shed door slowly opened on its own, even though he was alone. Maybe the original owner wasn't losing his mind after all. Maybe he was telling the truth all along.
I've seen a few of this guy's videos over the last few years, and stuff like that happens all the time. I'm nearly sure there's some sort of dolls or something on the top shelf in there as well. Um, freaky videos.
A woman was at a cabin one night, trying to sleep, when something outside her patio door caught her attention. She picked up her phone and began recording, confused by what she was seeing.
What
Something
the
appeared to be standing just
fuck was
beyond the
that?
glass. Some believe it could just be an animal. Others think the
What
shape
kind
and
of animal
stillness
is that?
feel unusual, almost like something watching rather than passing by. She was too scared to even move, so she stayed inside until it was gone, and later called her friends.
That's weird.
TikTok user
Like, really seems
Guaga passing by.
like
She was too scared to even move, so she stayed inside until it was gone.
it kind of goes up. Either someone's taking the piss out of her, or that's some weird ass animal.
And later called her friends. TikTok user Guaga Peach shared an unsettling clip after a cat seemed to notice something outside their window late at night. In the darkness, a pair of bright eyes
Wow.
appears. The cat
Another
stares
cat?
directly at the window, completely focused, with a tense posture and forward-facing ears,
That
as
was my
if
cat.
reacting to something outside that can't be heard.
That was my cat.
It could be wildlife. Animals like deer, raccoons, owls, or possums can produce strong eye shine under infrared or nearby lighting. Still, it
See the
seems
way-
larger and moves
Yeah, it's at eye level with the cat, if not bigger, and it kind of moves away as if as part of a much larger body. That's
differently.
weird.
But what is it? A homeowner was woken up around 3 a.m. by a loud howling coming from outside. Too afraid to check, she waited until morning to review her security camera footage. What it captured was unsettling. Perched on the side of her home was a pale-headed figure with what appeared to be glowing eyes.
That looks
The
a
woman
bit
believed it could be
fake.
something from local folklore.
Like the way the fingers come down, just kind of slid down. It looks a bit fake. Creepy, but a bit fake.
Often referred to as a skinwalker, said to mimic animal
It
sounds
just
or even human
slides
voices.
too
But could this truly
easily.
have been a skinwalker?
Don't know. Like some of them are good, but I don't know about that
Reddit
one.
user Relationship Next 9923 was at their home in their cabin when they noticed something in their backyard.
I can't
The
really make
swing
that
was
out.
moving on its own, way too hard. The air was still, with no wind, and not many people
Okay.
living nearby. No one seemed to be outside either. The user pointed out how aggressive the movement looked, almost too strong to be random. He's still unsure what started the motion.
I don't know. That's but too bad of a footage.
A night in December
sure.
1980 in rural Minnesota, 19-year-old Jean Hilliard lost control of her car on an icy road near Lengby. After the crash, she attempted to walk through the freezing darkness to get help, but collapsed just a short distance from her friend's house after spending hours in sub-zero temperatures around negative 22 degrees Fahrenheit. She lay unconscious in the snow overnight and was found the next morning in the yard, extremely cold and rigid from the freezing conditions. At the hospital, doctors initially struggled to believe she was
Jesus, is that
alive
her?
due to how stiff and
Wow.
frozen her body appeared on the outside, though she still
That's
had
incredible.
signs of life. She was carefully warmed in a controlled medical environment, and over time she began to regain consciousness, to the shock of the staff treating her. Despite the extreme exposure, she survived with surprisingly limited long-term damage and eventually recovered, becoming one of the most well-known extreme hypothermia survival cases in medical history. How was that even possible?
That's mad. That like
A Reddit user named Witty
Proper stuff,
username
like.
0708 was exploring behind their father's farmhouse in a remote rural area when they came across something unexpected in the woods behind the property. They found a single doll placed in the open.
Burn it.
The house itself was
Burn
built
it.
in the 1870s and sits completely isolated, surrounded by dense forest and farmland that has been in the family for decades. The user claimed they never had dolls as a child, making the discovery feel even more unsettling.
Mm-hmm.
The doll's face paint appeared unusually intact, as if it hadn't been lying there for long. What was that doll doing behind the farmhouse? Who put it there? And when?
Don't care. Salt it, burn it, bury it. End of story.
A cabin owner got a motion alert from their surveillance camera in the middle of the night, but when they opened the app, they saw something unsettling in their yard. A figure shaped like a young woman wearing a white dress seemed to be walking outside. She was moving
Almost
slowly across the
transparent.
yard and heading toward the edge of the property. What makes the footage more unsettling is the way she appears under night vision. She looks slightly translucent, not fully solid like a normal person, yet still clearly visible. The cabin owner was surprised, as they lived in a quiet area with very few visitors, especially at night. They went outside to check, but found nothing that could explain a possible intruder. Was it a ghost?
Man, like, I live in a built up area, but so someone walking past your house at night is kind of normal. But if you're living in a remote area and there's no real houses around you, and you see anyone walking past your house at night, it's going to be freaky. But this girl seems transparent. Interesting.
A motion-activated camera inside a home was triggered at 4:45 a.m. while everyone inside was asleep. What it captured was later shared by TikTok user These Haunted Hills. In the image, a shadow-like figure appears near a sleeping person. Its shape is humanoid, but without any clear facial features, standing out as something more defined than a simple shadow or lighting effect. One detail that stood out was a sleeper's raised arm, which some believe may have triggered the motion sensor. Some suggest camera glitches, infrared distortion, or low-light artifacts.
That's
Others
weird.
point to sleep paralysis, a phenomenon where people experience vivid hallucinations upon waking, often involving shadowy figures near the bed.
If you've seen one of my videos within the last few weeks, we have a girl sleeping in her bed and she set up a camera and you can see a figure at the bottom of her bed and she has sleep paralysis as well. This seems very similar, but it's creepy where that figure is just standing over the person sleeping. Like, what's it doing? Why is it there? And is it there for ill intent or to protect them? Weird.
In June 2005, two lifelong friends, David Horsey and Frederick Hardesty, traveled to a small cabin in Naani National Park in the Northwest Territories, visiting a friend named Rod Gunderson. Both David and Frederick were experienced outdoorsmen from the nearby community of Fort Simpson and were very familiar with the rugged northern landscape. But something went terribly wrong. On June 16th, Rod returned to the cabin and noticed something unusual. The two men were gone. Inside the cabin, most of their belongings were still there. Food remained stocked, firewood was stacked nearby, and even their firearms had been left behind. There were small signs that fires had been burning nearby, but nothing clearly explained where the men had gone. Concern quickly spread, and on June 18th, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police launched a search of the surrounding wilderness. Teams combed the forests and riverbanks around the cabin. But after several days of searching, the official operation was called off on June 23rd, leaving family members and volunteers to continue looking on their own. Then, a few days later, the mystery deepened. On June 27th, David Horsey's body was discovered about 2.3 miles from the cabin. Investigators reported burns on his hands and arms, and his death was later attributed to hypothermia. But the story didn't end there. Nearly 2 weeks later, on July 8th, Frederick Hardesty's body was found floating in the North Naani River, more than 12 miles from the cabin. The discovery raised new questions, especially since that stretch of river had reportedly been searched earlier. Autopsies concluded that Frederick had drowned. Many people close to the men were not convinced the investigation had uncovered the full story. Family members and local First Nation communities raised concerns about how the case had been handled. Some witnesses even reported seeing gunshot marks on the cabin floor and damage to clothing that resembled a shotgun blast. These details fueled speculation that something more sinister may have happened before the men had died, but no definitive evidence was ever found to confirm those suspicions. To this day, the deaths of David Horsey and Frederick Hardesty remain one of the most unsettling mysteries connected to Naani National Park.
That's really weird and interesting. Two lifelong friends, probably done this hundreds of times, just disappear and end up dead. With no explanation. That'd be horrifying for their families. Like,
a family from England travelled to Cornwall in the 1960s and stayed in an 18th century cottage after their usual rental was unavailable. From the first night, something felt wrong. The children heard breathing in their room and refused to go upstairs. Even the adults felt it. The house stayed unnaturally still. Locals later shared a story. A farmer who once lived there had murdered his wife and taken his own life. The tree where it happened was still in the garden. At night, sounds came from the same corner of the bedroom. One night, a loud crash woke them, followed by a woman's voice speaking from behind the bed. Decades later, in 2020, a relative returned to the same cottage. At exactly 3 a.m., the same crash came from the corner. Moments later, while reviewing photos taken during the trip, they noticed something in a kitchen window. A large dark silhouette standing inside the house.
wow.
One thing was for sure. Something was haunting that cottage.
He said there that they just felt it. Like, I went into houses as well, and I just instantly know that the feeling there is terrible or bad or just uneasy. And especially like an old house like that. And obviously they felt what happened between the farmer and his wife. It was still in the house. But have you guys ever felt like that where you walked in somewhere and you were just like, this isn't good. I don't have a good feeling here. If you have, let me know in the comments because I'd love to hear them. But yeah, those feelings of unease when you just walk in, especially if it's someone's house, like it's not good. It's not good.
A carpenter renovating an old house discovered a handwritten note inside the structure. According to Reddit user HeadspinEXE, the note was dated 1975 and appeared to have been left behind during construction or repairs. It felt like a small time capsule moment, the kind where people unintentionally leave traces of their lives sealed inside walls for decades. It's crazy to think that this 14-year-old would now be 65 years old.
Oh,
A
interesting.
woman standing on the porch of her cabin in the Appalachian Mountains heard something strange one morning.
Again, you probably hear me talking about Appalachian Mountains, but I think that's fascinating. I just think there's so many stories there, and I will still do a big video on it at some stage. But this one says, if you hear a baby crying in the woods, no, you don't. Like, there's definitely something there. Definitely.
The cry of a baby coming from deep within the woods. She was completely alone. Quickly, she took out her phone and began recording, slowly panning toward the tree line, but there was nothing there. No movement, no figure, nothing between the trees. The Appalachians are known for strange sounds like this.
They sure are.
Noises that seem human, but have no visible source. In reality, certain animals like foxes, bobcats, or even birds can produce cries that closely resemble a baby, especially when echoed through dense forest. Still, hearing something like that when you know you're alone is enough to make anyone.
But look where she's living. Everyone knows, especially if you're from that area, everyone knows how fucking weird and creepy that place is. But her house and her garden is just right beside the tree line. So is she asking for it? Kind of looks that way.
Easy. A Reddit user known as AussieNutsYT shared a short clip after his camera detected something unusual outside his cabin.
What was
The footage
that?
showed a strange mist-like shape moving slowly through his backyard. It didn't seem solid, almost drifting, before fading out of view.
That's
The
very
man who
weird.
uploaded the clip didn't believe it was anything paranormal. Instead, he suggested it could be a light reflection or a natural camera artifact. Still, the way it moved and how briefly it appeared left some uncertainty behind.
I actually, when I first seen it, like the way it was night vision, I thought it was snow that was falling, but it's obviously rain. And then when it came in, I thought it was like a gust of wind blowing the snow, but then it just took a drastic turn around the tree and came up. Very strange. Very strange.
In October 2019, 47-year-old Adrienne Ada Quintal was staying alone at her family's cabin near Honor, Michigan. In the early hours of October 17th, she made a frantic phone call to a friend. It was 2:34 a.m., and during the call, Ada claimed that someone was outside the cabin and that she had fired a gun at them.
Wow.
Alarmed, the friend contacted the police. When officers arrived at the remote cabin on Indian Hill Road, they discovered a strange and confusing scene. Ada was gone. Her boots and cell phone had been thrown onto the roof of the cabin, and her 9mm handgun was found lying on the ground outside.
Yes.
Investigators also found multiple bullet holes in the cabin's windows and ceiling, but all the shots appeared to have been fired from inside the cabin. Despite Ada's claim during the phone call, there was no blood, and no sign that anyone else had been injured or even present. Search teams quickly launched a massive effort around the wooded property. Tracking dogs, drones, helicopters, and thermal cameras were used to comb the surrounding forests and swamps. But the terrain around the cabin was thick, flooded, and extremely difficult to search. Weeks passed with no signs of her. Then, nearly 10 weeks later, Ada's family decided to search one particularly difficult area again, a swampy beaver pond several hundred yards from the cabin. Using a canoe, they began draining some of the water. As the water level dropped, something heartbreaking came into view. Ada's body was found submerged in about 3 feet of water, in the flooded pond not far from where she disappeared. Authorities later confirmed her identity through identifying marks, including scars and a tattoo. Investigators stated that no evidence of foul play was found, though the strange circumstances surrounding that night, including the frantic phone call and the bizarre scene inside the cabin, continue to leave many questions. How did she end up in the swamp so close to the cabin? And what really happened during those final moments inside the house?
That's fucking weird. I mean, if you ring your friend in the middle of the night and you tell them to fire a gun or something, and then proceed to empty the full clip, and then disappear with no shoes, no phone, no gun, without a trace, that's that that's not somebody who's unstable. That's something that has happened.
That night,
Weird.
a group was visiting Bluff City Cemetery during a tour, standing near the entrance of an active mausoleum while taking photos of the area. The location is known for its connection to a nightmare on Elm Street 5. At the time, nothing seemed unusual, but later, while reviewing one of the photos, someone noticed something in the background. Near a tree, a white figure, standing at a distance,
Wow.
almost as if it was watching the group. No one remembered seeing anyone there, which raises the question, who or what was standing by that tree, and
That's
how did
weird.
no one notice it?
That is
For
weird.
more scary cabin encounters, watch this next video.
Yeah, that's that one done. Thanks to Mystery Man for the video. I actually enjoyed quite a few of them. Very interesting. Now, your man, whoever the Mystery Man is, dropped them very fast between clips, so it was kind of a wee bit harder to react without pausing all the time. But yeah, they're interesting. Some are weird, some creepy, some unexplainable, some seems as if they could have been humans. But there are some weird and unusual things that happened in those videos. Interesting. Forest encounters, cabin encounters, like especially the Alpaca encounters when you live so close to that area, and you're definitely getting something, like there's something that's going to happen. So yeah, guys, that's another one done. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and if you like this one, then YouTube will recommend this one, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and we will see you next time. Slan.